Everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Britt, creator of the StyleShaker, your guide to greener, cleaner beauty. Today I'm back with a review, a foundation review slash update for the Jane Iredale Liquid Minerals Foundation. This is one of the earlier reviews that I did. First time I tried it, I didn't like it, so I wanted to check it out again because things change. This time around, how did it perform? Did it pass the test? Do I even like it? Or do I still think it's like, I'm gonna tell you all that and more in a short and sweet review, so stick around and let's get into it. Before I dive in real fast, everybody always asks what I'm wearing on my lip. It is a combination of the RMS Lip Shine in Sacred along with a sample of the Vapor Lip Nectar in Coquette. Let's dive into the review for the Jane Iredale Liquid Minerals Foundation. Pretty cool looking, has these little spheres in it as you can see. I have this in the shade Suntan. This product is $55. Ooh. I know. There are 13 shades available. It is cruelty-free, vegan, and wheat-free. It claims to be a serum with pigment that provides sheer to medium coverage. Also claim that this provides hydration. It minimizes the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, along with minimizes the appearance of pores. It's supposed to even out skin tone like a normal foundation would. So I will get to whether or not that actually happened at the end of this review, but I will kick it off with ingredients. I looked through the ingredients here. I didn't see any red flags, but I do have lists of what the ingredients are along with some ratings beside it. I do reference the EWG. If you've seen my most recent video, you know I don't put all my eggs into that basket, so I have a lot of different reputable resources that I like to look at to research these things. I always encourage you to take a look at those. What might work for one person might be irritating to another, so it is a personal thing as well. So take a peek. I have them listed out with the ratings, etc. below. If I see any red flags, I will mention it when I'm talking. Even if I don't see any red flags that are like terrible ingredients but could be irritating to sensitive skin types, I did not see that. I did see some interesting skincare additions here like squalane, hyaluronic acid, and vitamin C, so you can see the serum portion of it in there. Next up, how is coverage? Does skin still look like skin? So when I applied this, and I'll show you myself applying it so you can see swatches before and after, stuff like that. When I first applied this, you pump it out, it's very clear, and it glides on the skin, very, very lightweight. Didn't see much of anything. So I was like, oh, okay, that's why I didn't like it. So I put one layer on and I let it sit for a second. Keep in mind that I did use a primer underneath. I have done it without that. I prefer it with that. I waited for a second and then I applied another layer of this foundation on top. And it actually did build up to a light to medium coverage. I will give it that. I don't think it's a full medium coverage for me unless I set it with a powder. Sheer to medium, maybe if you keep building it, did actually build up into more coverage and evening out in a very subtle, natural looking way. Worry that the Suntan shade, you'll see this in the swatches on my arm, I thought that this was going to be too dark. It ended up being the perfect shade for my skin type. I have the Italian side of me, so there's a little bit more olive skin tone kind of built in. I do have fair skin that has a little bit of rosiness to it, so sometimes I like to go a little bit darker as opposed to fairer. It's just a personal preference. I just thought that was kind of important to know if you're trying to shade match. They also recommend on the site that you can apply this with a brush, which I think would actually work really well. They have a flocked sponge that they use, which is like their signature thing instead of a beauty blender. I don't think a sponge would work super well here. I feel like it would just pick it all up. So you could use a brush. I use my fingers. I always use my fingers, but I would say a brush would be nice, easy, clean. Overall, a good way to apply. The score for coverage is 4 out of 5, and keep in mind that yes, this does build. You got to give it a second, and it is a more natural effect, but it did actually even out. So sheer to light medium. Does this last? So I had the primer on. I've also worn it without primer. I did see more of a dewy look, which at first made me think, okay, this is probably gonna kind of slowly fade off the face throughout the day. I think it stuck around really well. I do think setting with a light dusting of powder or something like that is really helpful. If you have dry skin, you might not need to set. I was surprised that it stuck around. I think that has to do with it almost feels like a lightweight gel. So it wasn't more of a moisturizing, creamy consistency. It was that lightweight consistency, which did adhere pretty well. Still, I did like having a dusting of powder, and I think that helped. Overall score there is a 3 out of 5 on the scorecard. Next is this non-irritating in terms of formula. I had no issues here. I gave it a 3 out of 5 on the scorecard. You can check out the ingredients below. Again, I didn't see personal red flags there, but take a look and decide for yourself. Did it blend and build well? I already touched on building a little bit, so I was surprised. I really thought, okay, this was a fail for a reason when I first tried it. No, I think I just needed to give it a minute, then then build on top. So I think it did a really good job actually for building if you're going for not a super full coverage look, which you wouldn't be because it states in the product claims that it is more of a sheer to medium coverage. In terms of blending, I think it blended really well. You do need to kind of zhuzh it a little bit. You might get some streaking just because of the way that this works. So as it comes through the pump, these little balls kind of burst through and you can see the contrast in color. So you'll see like kind of color spots sitting within a gel kind of suspended in there. And then you blend it in and it will blend in, but just kind of don't go, it's not kind of a one and done sort of situation. You do need to sort of blend it into the skin. I don't think it's terrible, but it's just something to keep in mind. Overall, I got a 4 out of 5 on that. Shade range, is it inclusive? Is it exclusive? What do we think? 13 shades. Now, usually that's a pretty decent number, but these skewed more on the light side than they did darker shades, so it didn't get that great of a score. It didn't get a terrible score. I gave it kind of right in the middle. I was on the fence about this. Like, I feel like they could have done a little bit more towards the darker shade range. At the end of the day, I gave it a 3 out of 5 on the scorecard. There's room for improvement. The last question, keeping it conscious. This is plastic for sure. It doesn't say anything about post-consumer recycled plastic, so I feel like this is net new. The interior design of this packaging is probably going to be very tricky to recycle. Just know that I'm waiting to hear back from the brand and I will post whatever they send me here and also on the scorecard on the site. It is cruelty-free, it is vegan, so those are two wonderful things. Always look for that. I really don't review much that isn't cruelty-free because it's a personal thing, but I gave it a 3 out of 5 because it's covering almost half the battle there. It's just plastic. And it's tricky for the consumer to have to figure out how to dispose of this in an eco-friendly way. The total score for this foundation serum, what is 20 out of 30 on the StyleShaker scorecard. So did it do what it said it was gonna do? Let's do a quick recap, shall we? First, it says it is a serum with pigment, provides sheer to medium coverage. I think that this does certainly provide sheer coverage. I would say medium with a dusting of powder for combination skin, and pretty much I think that could be a universal thing. You'd have to keep building it and that would be a little strange in terms of texture. So it almost fulfilled that promise. The next, it hydrates skin. I mean, yeah, it wasn't drying, but I don't think it stands out for that. It does, however, have a couple of ingredients in there. So hyaluronic acid holds like 1,000 times its weight in water. So yes, that helped, but that's also kind of a surface level thing. Anyway, I wouldn't again think, wow, this is the most hydrating foundation I've ever used. I would rely on skincare and nutrition to help there. Diminishes the appearance of lines and wrinkles. I applied it. I didn't see massive results there. I think this is also similar to a skincare situation where the more you use it, the more you will probably see some of those benefits. I just can't clearly state any of that happened, like any lines and anything were diminished because of this product. I'm always testing skincare, so yeah, I don't think it hurt. I wouldn't rely on it. It does have vitamin C and squalane too, so again, there are skincare ingredients within this product, so I love that. I think that's a benefit. I think that does justify a little bit more of the price point. I just can't tell you at this point whether or not it's like, oh yeah, this really just got rid of all signs of aging, which, like, who wants to do that anyway, I guess? Well, some people. All right, moving on to the next one. Minimizes the appearance of pores. I did see a little bit of that. Again, I wouldn't really hang my hat on that for this foundation. You can use a setting powder to do that. Those things can blur pores a little bit better, in my opinion, and also rely on a primer to do that. I would rely on a primer if you really need that help and you have more oily skin. Yeah, I wouldn't be like, wow, this is the best for minimizing pores. Evening out skin tone, I think it did a great job. There, I can give it some credit and be like, yes, I saw a direct correlation between applying this and the evening out of my skin tone. It was a more natural look and it did what it said it was gonna do. Except I don't think that it got to that medium level on me, but it got close. They do recommend on the site that if you're looking for fuller coverage, you can blend this with their Glow Time Fuller Coverage BB cream, so you can do one of those combos, which I always do with everything else. I think that this would blend really nicely with something like that. So overall, yeah, did it do what it said it was gonna do? I think it did a little bit of what it said it was gonna do. This is a really different kind of foundation. This is not a heavy foundation. It's not a creamy foundation. This is a lightweight, almost gel-like consistency foundation that it gives a natural natural look and adheres nicely and isn't gonna like fall down your face throughout the day. But again, it is more of a natural look that can build. It still gives that nice dewy texture. So if you have oilier skin, this might be nice because it's not heavier. Also, if you have fine lines, this will probably, I'm guessing, not sink into too much of them because of the weightlessness of it. If you have dry skin, you're probably gonna wanna put on a hydrating primer beforehand, see what you can do there, or a day cream or a moisturizer. That's how it kind of would shake out between all of the different skin types. And do I change my mind from my first review? Yeah. I do. It happens, and that's why I do these updates. I do think it's a great foundation. I have been reaching for it more often than not, and I do like to set it. So yeah, it was a flip. It was a reversal. And there you have it. That is the review for the Jane Iredale Liquid Minerals Foundation. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up to support the channel. As always, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another review over here. If you have any experience with this foundation that you'd like to share with the community over here, let us know. It always helps, and provide context on your skin type because that's also really helpful. So thank you in advance for that. And yeah, I'm gonna go test some more stuff out. I'll see you guys right back here real soon. Until then,